All right, let's get right into it. You know, every powerful AI system out there is absolutely starving for one thing: fresh, up-to-the-minute data from the web. But actually getting that data, cleaning it up, and making it digestible for your models, that is a massive headache. So today, we're going to look at a classic showdown between two very different ways to solve this problem: a sleek, powerful commercial service and a scrappy, free open-source challenger.
But before we do, I have a question for all you developers and builders out there. You've spent all this time creating an amazing RAG pipeline, but have you actually looked at the receipts? Could it be secretly, silently burning a hole in your budget? Believe me, it's a super common fear, and honestly, it's for a very, very good reason.
And this all comes down to what's called the RAG data dilemma. See, large language models, as incredible as they are, have their knowledge totally frozen in time. If you don't feed them a constant diet of fresh, external data, they don't just get outdated, they start making stuff up. They start to hallucinate.
And that is exactly why RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation, is such a game changer. It's pretty much the go-to strategy for keeping your LLM tethered to reality. You feed it real-time data from the web, and suddenly the answers you get are accurate, they're current, and they're just way, way more trustworthy.
So let's just take a quick peek at what a modern RAG system looks like. A user asks a question, right? But before that question ever gets to the LLM, it gets intercepted by this retrieval system. And that system is completely dependent on this one little box, the data processing pipeline. That's it, right there. That is where all the magic happens. But it's also where the costs can just totally spiral out of control.
So let's talk about that cost, because it's a big deal. It all boils down to the hidden price of tokens. You see, not all data is created equal. And I'm telling you, feeding messy, raw, unprocessed data directly to your LLM is one of the single most expensive mistakes you can possibly make.
Just look at this. On the left, you've got raw HTML. It's a jungle of code, scripts, styling, just junk that your LLM has to wade through. And every single one of those useless characters is a token you are paying for. Now, look at the right. That's clean Markdown. It's pure content, beautifully structured. It's exactly what the LLM wants, with zero expensive fluff.
Here's an analogy for you. Feeding raw HTML to your LLM is literally like hiring a Michelin star chef to cook you a gourmet meal, but telling them that first they have to go dig all the ingredients out of a dumpster. I mean, it's a complete waste of their incredible talent, and more importantly, it's a massive waste of your money. You want to give them clean, prepped ingredients.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't just some developer quirk, it's a core economic principle. Check out this research from Yale. They point out that the variable operational costs of processing tokens is a fundamental feature of the entire LLM economy. Every single token has a price tag. Efficiency isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely crucial. Okay, so to fix this messy data problem, the industry came up with what seems like the perfect solution: these powerful commercial scraping APIs. They're awesome. They offer a super convenient plug-and-play way to get clean data. They do all the dumpster diving for you. But as you can probably guess, that convenience comes at a pretty steep price.
Let's take a look at one of the leaders here, a tool called Firecrawl. And wow, the feature list is seriously impressive. It spits out clean Markdown, it blocks ads, it uses stealthy proxies to get past those annoying anti-scraping measures, it even figures out what the main content of a page is and ignores all the sidebars and footers. If you're a developer on a deadline, this looks like a dream come true.
And then you see the pricing. And this really just lays the trade-off bare, doesn't it? The standard plan kicks off at $83 a month, and the growth plan, that jumps to $333 a month. For a startup, for a side project, these recurring fees add up so fast. It can become a serious financial problem.
But what if you could get all of that clean, perfectly prepped AI-ready data without that monthly bill? Well, this is where our story gets really interesting. It's time to meet Crawl4AI, the open source alternative. So, what exactly is Crawl4AI? Well, it's a Python library that was built from the ground up for this one specific job. It uses a really clever distributed system to crawl any website you throw at it and instantly transform that messy HTML into the beautiful, clean, structured Markdown that our LLMs need to thrive.
And this is the important part. Look at the benefits you get with this approach. Zero recurring API fees. You can run the whole thing on a super cheap virtual server for a few bucks a month. It's built to be asynchronous, which means it is wicked fast. And maybe most importantly, you have total control over your data and your pipeline. It's kind of the Goldilocks solution, you know? It's just right.
So, how does this thing actually work? You might be thinking it's just some simple script, but it's not. Let's pop the hood for a second and see the serious engineering that makes this all possible. This is a robust, production-ready tool.
And here's the proof in the pudding. This is a real-world app built on top of Crawl4AI. A user just drops in a URL from any website, the backend, powered by Crawl4AI, goes out, scrapes the site, cleans it up, and lets the user literally have a conversation with that website's content. I mean, that's the dream, right? And it's real. The whole process is this really intelligent 4-step pipeline. First, it does the super fast asynchronous crawling to get the raw pages. Then it performs that absolutely critical conversion from messy HTML to clean Markdown. After that, it smartly breaks up the text into manageable chunks. And finally, it creates the vector embeddings you need for that powerful semantic search. It's an entire data prep factory in one library.
Okay, but does it actually find the right information? The data says a big yes. This chart here shows a metric called cosine similarity. Now that sounds complicated, but all you need to know is that a score like 0.417 is a really strong signal of semantic relevance. In plain English, it means the tool is really good at finding the exact piece of text that answers your question. It just works.
And that brings us to the real decision that every single developer faces. This isn't really about free versus paid. What it really is a classic strategic trade-off. What do you value more? Convenience or control?
So let's just put them side by side. Firecrawl, super low setup, incredibly convenient. But the cost is high and you give up some control. Crawl4AI, it's totally free to use and you have complete control over everything. But you do have to do some initial setup on your own server. See, there's no one right answer. It completely depends on your project, your budget, and your team.
And that really leaves us with one final big question for you to think about. As you sit down to architect your next big AI project, you have to ask yourself, what's more valuable in the long run? Will you pay for the immediate convenience of a plug-and-play API, or will you invest a little time up front to build for the long-term flexibility, cost savings, and power that comes with total control?